Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. In this video, we are going to see some client-first tips and tricks. These are basic tips and tricks, very simple. Some of them are very simple, some of them are using some custom CSS as well. These tips are going to help you make faster with client-first. So if you're using client-first system, after watching this video, I hope you can speed up your build. You can make more efficiently your website and yeah, build faster with Client-First.
That's effing sweet.
By the way, the project that you see here is not really with the latest Client-First v 2.1. It's an older version, but it's fine. The tricks that we have is kind of applicable in both of them. So the first tip here that I have is about naming the combo classes. So when you are having the combo classes, generally, how you name it is, for example, I have this card, which is about item. And what we generally do is we type is black, right? So one way, one cool tip for to understand this easily would be to make it like a sentence. Okay, so for example, when you read it, it's a very subtle trick or tip basically, but it helps to understand even better. Like make it more layman, I would say. So for example, it reads home about item is black. So it reads it as a sentence, right? And let's say I have a star here on the right side of this, and let's say maybe this is okay, this is relative right now, but for example, I have something here. Let's add a background here. So I will add a background icon maybe. Let's try to find an icon. Here is quotes. Okay, cool. And I want to add this quote as a background in this particular use case. So let's just go to the background. Click here. We will choose the image like this. And I don't want to apply it to all of them, right? So what I will need is I will need a combo class in this case. So instead of typing only is quote, I can type, because right now when you read it, it's not making like sentence wise sense, like home about item is quote, right? It's completely fine if you name it like that, but to make it more layman, more simple to understand, you can type, you can have some extra words like is with quote. This is very very basic thing that we do sometimes. I also do. So is with, is for, is with, is for, these type of words you can add in there. Yeah, just to make it more understandable. Yeah, more layman, more simple. Yeah, so that is tip number one. Then tip number two is going to be about page loaders. Sometimes we have page loaders, right, in our website, and generally we keep them, let's say, inside page wrapper. Sometimes here, some people keep it in the bottom of the page. So the tip to keep the page loader will be to keep it in the very top. If possible, keep it outside the page wrapper as well. The reason is because the HTML is loaded from top to bottom, and when the page loader is present somewhere in between, you might notice like a glitch or a blink, where you can see the web page and then the page loader is kind of loaded. That happens because the page loader is present in between these layers in our page core structure and not in the top. So I think structure wise, page core structure wise, the tip will be to keep it in the very top of the page wrapper, or you can keep it outside the page wrapper as well, just the page loader. So let's try to create a page loader really quick. So I will just go to CSS loaders, for example. Again, a very nice way to create page loaders is using like CSS loaders. I think I covered this in one of our CSS tip videos, but these are very efficient. You are not having any additional lottie files or interactions. So yeah, page loader, for example, we will have a component of this, a page loader wrapper like that. Then let's make it fixed. I will keep it in the top, and I will make it, let's say, let's take this background color. This looks good. Like that. Nice. Now I will take an embed inside this. And this is the HTML, and you can copy the CSS as well. This site is called cssloaders.github.io. So you can always find a lot of loaders there. Let's add our style tag. I will show you the issue and how we can optimize that. Style tag close. There we go. Page loader is here. Now let's maybe, yeah, now it is in the top, and you can see the page loader is right there. Let's center this thing just like this. We can also change the color. So for example, here the color right now is border bottom color. I think this is the color. So let's make it black, darker. There we go. Yeah, just to make sure it is visible. Yeah. Or maybe the previous one was, yeah, a little bit better. Okay, let's do that. Nice. Now what I will do is I will keep, generally it's a good idea to create a component of the page loader, but just for demonstration, I will keep it somewhere here. And now I will publish to staging. Let's now open the site. And okay, right now the page loader is visible. Let's add now the interaction. So page trigger, page load is finished. Page load is finished. When the page load is finished, what I want to do is I want to hide this. There we go. Okay, this is just a fast way to kind of create that loader. Yeah, but you can add again interactions, like more smoothing animation as well when you hide that thing. Yeah. Okay. Let's now, just to show you, I think we don't have a lot of HTML here, but I can also, okay, by the way, in Designer, you will generally hide it so that it's not interrupting, right? I will go again here. So when the page, it starts loading, I will make it visible. When the page finishes loading, I will just hide it. So page loader start. It is visible like that. Save, and you can always rename your animations. So like page loader start load, like that. So you can see there was a few like milliseconds or seconds where the page shows up, then you see the loader, and then again it disappeared. I will show it again, try to recreate the issue. You see there was a blink of a second or something like that where you could see the page. So that's not of course, good user experience. To avoid that, you can always move your loader to the very top. Also, one thing you could do is you can also add a small CSS in the page or in your project settings so that the loader is visible by default. But let's see, moving it to the top, if it removes the issue. Let's open the page from here. Okay, so now let's simply remove that interaction. I will simply remove that interaction. It's not helping a lot. Cool. And what I will do is I have moved the loader to the top, and I will go here. Let me zoom in a little bit, guys, if you cannot see it maybe. So here I will just make it visible. Display flex. So my loader right now in Designer is kind of hidden, but it will be visible on the site. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove the few milliseconds where your page is visible. So yeah, let's see that. And there we go. Now you see when I open the page, I don't see the page behind itself. I see the loader, and I only see the page once the page is loaded, rest of the page. So yeah, this is the trick. Sometimes you might actually see this issue, sometimes not, because your page might be very lighter, so it might not have that issue. But again, the tip is to keep your page loader in the very top so that it loads first. So this trick, the next one, is not directly related to client first. When you are having a different approach in building with Client-First. For example, what I personally do is when I have headings, I don't personally like to keep like top and bottom margin 0. I like to give them some default margin, like maybe 1.5 rems. The reason is because most of the headings have some kind of paragraph before, like just after that. So for example, here it is a H2 and there is a paragraph just after that, right? And we have to add kind of margin top and then a paragraph. So it kind of adds one more nesting layer for you, which is fine. But again, I think you can reduce that if you follow a kind of a unique approach or a different approach, which is like this, where you kind of add the margin bottom by default on all the heading tags. So the issue that happens with this now is, let's say you have a heading that is now not having any paragraph just below it, right? So you can see that in the very first example itself, there is no paragraph present there. And because of that, there is some extra space created right there in the bottom. So what you can do is you can use a little bit of CSS to kind of fix that, or like just do not worry about that. So simply go to your global styles and you will find some code here. You have to create something very similar. So what you need to do is you need to take H, for example, 1, okay, then H2. So you can take all the heading tags like this, H1, H2, H3, H4, and then you can define you can define that if it is alone or if it is last child present in a wrapper. So for example, in this particular case, if this is a last child means there is nothing below it now, right? So in that case, the heading bottom margin will be 0. Or the second way would be to be only child. So if it is only child, let's say you have a kind of a section heading, for example, this one, you don't have a paragraph below that, right? So in this particular case, again, this is kind of solo, right? So based on your project requirements, you could actually follow any one of that. But the thing is, you just go there and here you add a semicolon and add last child. And same, you need to add that same thing to this as well. Same semicolon last child as well. There we go. And then you need to define margin bottom. So you can see that we are actually following the same trick on our rich text element in Webflow's rich text element. So you could do this here as well. That's it. And now whenever your element, like your heading is last child, there is no paragraph present below it, it will just make it 0. But for rest of the element, there will be a bottom margin present. So again, a very nice thing. So for example, this one, I will increase the bottom margin and you can see that it's not increasing it. The reason is because we have set that to 0. There is no paragraph involved, right? So it is 0 right now. When I'm hovering over it, I cannot see it either. But as soon as I add a paragraph here, the space is created automatically. So this is the trick. I use it all, like in all the projects I do. So I think you'll find it helpful as well if you follow this approach. Okay, now let's jump to the second trick. Very, very, very useful, very common. Again, what you can do is whenever you are searching a class, let's say margin bottom, like max width or any utility class you are searching, you might be typing it like this. So max width, let's say small, right? But what you can also do is you can just type like very few letters of it, like MAVIWIFU. So you can see it already kind of searches it for you. So you don't really have to type the full thing. So that's kind of very helpful. So next time, whenever you are searching a utility class, just type the first 2 letters of it. So let's try even shorter. There we go. I just typed MWF. So max width full, right? And it is already showing me the results. So yep, let's try it something else. So margin bottom. So MARB. There we go. MARL, margin large. Very useful trick. Again, let me know how many of you actually knew about it. Okay, the next tip, it's not a trick. The next one is a tip, which is about naming your classes. I have seen in many builds, we also did some live reviews as well of client first websites. I came across many client first websites. Uh, the thing is with client first, you have two kind of approaches, which is one is like more global approach or semantic approach, you can say, where the classes that you are having, you are naming them globally. There is no like a specific, uh, the classes that you're naming is not specific to a single element on a single page. They are kind of global. The reason is so that it can be reused, right? So again, you have two options. Either you can make your website uh, like less global. If you have less pages, it's fine. But again, making your site more global with the right naming is actually more useful and more helpful. I also like that approach personally, naming things more global so that you can reuse them, right? For example, let's say we have these cards, right? So these cards are telling me, let's say, features. Cool. So features itself is a very global name. You can reuse that on stats, features, and any other thing as well. So that is kind of fine. But let's see, for example, let's try to find an example here. Yeah. So for example, this card is getting used here as well. And here it is saying blog list. And let's see what is it's saying here. Okay, here it is saying home about item. So this is actually a perfect example what I was trying to explain here. So you can see in this case the naming is correct. I'm not going to say it's incorrect naming, but the thing is because I have named this one very specifically home about item, right? So I'm kind of restricting that section to the home page and about section. Instead of naming it like that, what I can do instead is again, just disclaimer, this is not the wrong way, but you can choose a better way. So instead of naming it like that, you can simply name it like features card, features underscore cards, or feature card underscore item, right? And same thing you could reuse again right here. Same goes for other things as well. Let me give you some example. For example, sometimes we have, let's say, this one. Let's see what is the name of this section. Okay, it says sermon featured, right? So here sermon is, I think, a very specific thing. Instead of sermon, I would just call it featured. Again, a very global name. So I think the tip is here actually going to be choose a global or more semantic name so that your website becomes more scalable. Let's say I will simply create a section, for example, here, and I will just copy this section for now. This is having a older layout, but it is fine for demonstration. We need to do some live builds with the new one as well. There are not like major updates in the structure, some nesting changes and all, but still we could do more live builds sometime. Okay, so for example, let's take a div block and an image and rich text for now. There we go. Instead of naming it like about, let's say this is an about section. So I will name it like home about grid, right? So many of you might name it like this because, okay, you are thinking about the purpose of it. It's about section, it's present on the homepage, which is a nice way to think about it. But instead of naming it like this, what you could do is you can uh, name it more general. So let's first go with this approach and then we will kind of rename it because that's the another trick as well. So let's simply follow along. So here we have home about and then home about image. Here this will be home about rich. Home about rich, home about content, anything. Generally we have wrappers as well, but for this demonstration, I'm not taking a wrapper. I'm simply adding it directly there. Okay, let's see. 100%. There we go. Let's choose an image, just like that. Nice. now, okay, so the section is ready. Instead of naming it like that, here it's perfectly fine. Now we are going to name it to something global, right? So for that, again, we are going to use another tip, which is using Finsweet extension. If you're not using Finsweet extension, you are actually missing out on some of the features that you can use on a client first website. So I will simply use the Finsweet extension to rename my component, which is home about grid. So let's see, home about. Okay, so the folders will be present here. There we go. And I can simply rename it. Click here, layout to call. So I can, whenever there is a 2-column layout, I will simply use that. So I'm changing the complete component name. Click Save Changes. I'm ready. Okay, guys. So here you can see now my section name is more general. So again, that tip, I would say, try to be more global so that your website is more scalable. Even if you have, let's say, 1 or 2 page, you might need to scale them later, right? So try to be more global, I would say. Okay, so the next tip is going to be about using fluid responsive generator. And this is again a client first tip. For all the website that you make with client first, I will highly recommend using the fluid responsive generator for it. And what you could do is you can open Finsweet extension again, go to fluid responsive generator. The thing is, it will make your website a little bit better in terms of responsiveness. I think I did share this in one of my previous CSS tip video as well, but again, I will quickly cover up here as well in this session. So for example, here, when you go to smaller screens, your website is kind of fine, but still it can be better. For example, here on the smaller text size, you can see some of the text might feel a little bit congested, a little bit compressed, you know. So what you could do is you can use fluid responsive generator to make it better in terms of responsiveness. So yeah, it depends on website to website, but it definitely helps a lot in all the use cases. So I kind of add this by default on all the projects as a launch checklist. When I'm finishing the project, I make sure to add this to all the websites. So what you could do, generate the code, copy it like this. Again, you can change the values as you want. And if you want to learn more about how you want to use the fluid design generator, I think you can find videos on our channel as well. But again, the fundamental is very, very, very basic, where you are changing value of one rem using CSS. So here is how you do it. It generates the code for you. So you simply copy the code, you go to global styles and simply paste the code right here. Once you have pasted that, you can see it became better in terms of responsiveness, not only with the desktop smaller sizes, but also for the tablet, for mobile landscape, and also for mobile. Yep. So that is another tip, using fluid responsive generator on all of your client projects, all of your client first projects. Okay, the next tip is actually very, very useful as well. You can create section templates and page structure templates. So for example, here I have 10 sections, right? I want to add a new section. So for that, what I will do is generally, I will take a div block or a section block. Then I will go here. I will name it like this. So for example, section, let's say features. There we go. Just like that. So I'm just moving it here for now. Then I will just try to create the whole structure, right? For example, here we have the section structure that starts with page padding, container, padding bottom, then rest of the structures as well. So yeah, so this is the default approach, right? So let's say take our page padding, just like that. And then again, in this particular website, we have the structure like that. But if you go to the new documentation, you will find we have this class, which is padding section, and the size of the section padding that you want. And you are basically adding it directly to padding global instead of creating a separate layer. You could possibly create a second layer if you want to, but again, based on the experiments we did, we tested it a lot. It makes sense to kind of merge them. It kind of helps reduce a little bit of nesting there. So why not? Let's do that. This particular section class might not be available in this project because this is an older project. Let's see. Yeah, this padding class is not available, which is fine. So I will for now simply use this structure. I will just copy this structure here just for the demonstration, because it's not really about the nesting. The tip is not about the nesting. It's about creating section templates. So simply copy this old structure for now here. And let's go up to this point. So container medium, padding bottom. Generally, we add kind of a section padding here as well. So section padding might not be available here as to, yeah, this is a very old project. So let's see. Padding vertical, for example. Okay, let's assume this is your section structure. Section padding, container, this is page padding. Now we don't even have this class, and padding vertical. So whatever your section structure is in your project, it doesn't have to follow this one. What you could do is simply create a component out of it and call it section template or section starter template, right? And just to be more organized, you can have some kind of naming convention for this, right? So for example, what I do is I have, let's say, section structure like this, section structure, and then with a kind of line separator, I add here what this is. This is a template. So just like that, I created, and now you can actually remove. Yeah, so this is what you have. And now whenever you want to create a new section, simply just search the template. So you can just type this, have the section, and simply unlink this thing. So unlink the instance or Control-Shift-A, and your section is ready. You just need to rename the section. That's it. You don't have to. It kind of saves your time, right? So this is how you can save it. In the very beginning of the project, create a section template. Similarly, create a page wrapper template as well. By that, what I mean is, let's say I will create a new page. Let's create the page wrapper template first. So I will have global styles, nav bar in it, main wrapper. Inside main wrapper, I'm not going to have any sections, because whenever you start building a page, you don't generally have any sections inside that. And then you have footer inside that. So let's add the footer. That's it. And now this is going to be my page structure template. There we go. Now, when I go to a new page, create a new page, I will call this a test page. And let's create it. So you can see it's blank. I will simply search here page structure, click that, click enter, and just Control-Shift-A to unlink the instance. And now I can simply start adding section template. You can see already this is like very fast. And sorry, there we go. My section is here, my page is here. I can focus on building faster now. Yep. So again, a great tip. You can always do that. The next tip is about using potato extension. A little bit about potato extension is that potato extension, I created this for experiment. Like I wanted to learn about extension, help Finsweet, and contribute my ideas and everything, so that our extension can become better. So which like all the features that you see here may eventually come. You can see them on Finsweet extension, or you can see them maybe in the Finsweet app itself. That's not finalized where you will see them. But for now, you can use potato extension because it genuinely helps you to build faster with Client-First. And let me show you how. Okay. So you can install that extension from official Chrome store. So just search potato extension for Webflow. I have never recorded a tutorial in that. That is also pending from my side. But again, I can show a few features that is helpful with Client-First, because this session is focused on Client-First. So here is your extension. You can install it from here. There are already more than 1,000 users. So a lot of people are using it, and it is definitely helping them to build faster. Someone has commented nice food. I'm not sure why, but okay, let's come back to the session again, come back to the site. And what you need to do now is, I don't really have a user interface here in the potato. So it's just a potato chilling right there. You don't have anything there. When you click on it, nothing happens. To enable all the features, you have to click on the extension itself that is present in your website. So what you need to do is basically click on the extension and enable the features. By default, they will look like this. So you can simply enable all the features that you want to use. I'm not going to explain all of them, but just the ones that is useful in Client-First. Okay. So just enable them, click update features, and it will refresh your designer. For me, it's already enabled, so I'm not going to enable it again. And now you can see the last feature, which is called class name helper for style systems. And you have a trigger type, which you will see what it means, and trigger key and trigger type, and show initials when focused. So whenever you're building a component, let's say I am having a form, and for now, let's simply have it like this. And now let's say I want to create a contact form, right? So contact form component. Nice. By default, your approach will be to go to the form, like rest of the elements, and again type it here like that. So contact form, and then you will type maybe block or wrapper, right? So you are spending a lot of time in naming things. Again, here you will type, let's say, generally the inputs are globalized. So you have form underscore input or form dash input like that, So like you generally have them like this. So form underscore input. But let's say for this particular example, it's contact form. It's very specific to the contact form, the input itself. So you have contact form, right? You can see that I'm kind of spending a lot of time typing here again and again, right? One thing you could do is you could copy what you are typing. So for example, you are typing contact form input. You can copy it like this. And whenever you are typing a class, you could paste it. But again, that's, I think it's not also the most efficient way. What you can do is instead using potato extension, you can see that when I'm focusing here, it kind of shows me a placeholder. You will not find that inside your designer because potato is not there. So what potato does, it kind of detects what you created before. So for example, I created contact form underscore component. It saves it in a variable so that it can, so that when you are typing the same thing in more components, or when you are creating like more elements from the same component, you can type the name faster. Let me show you. So for example, I was here, contact form component, and next time when I go to contact the form wrapper itself, first it will show me the initials. That is what this checkbox do. If you turn this off, you won't find the initials there. The feature will work itself, but keeping it on kind of shows you, what potato will kind of put there for you. So now what you need to do is you need to click shift and it will type it for you. That's it. And now you can just type the form itself like that. Type it. Okay, let's see the label. You can see how fast I can type it. There we go. Please ignore the typos. Submit. There we go. And let's say it also works with folders. So for example, let's say you have 2 levels of underscore. This is contact form messages underscore success, let's say, for this example. When I go to error message and I hit shift, it takes me to the second level. So I can just type error here. That's it. So this is how you actually can use potato extension, and it will help you name your classes faster with Client-First. What you can do is you can also change the trigger. So instead of using shift, you can use arrow up, arrow down, arrow right, arrow left. So you have 5 options. And you can also trigger type. You can have a trigger type to key press or key release. What that means is when you are here, for example, and as soon as I press shift, it will just put the text right away. It will not wait for me to kind of release the key itself. So if you want it to work on release, you can kind of use the second trigger. Yep. So those are the options that you have. Let me know if you find this option useful. Feel free to use that and share your feedback about potato extension. You can directly DM me about extension if you find any issues or if you have any other suggestions. that can be improved in this thing. Okay, now one more feature that is again useful in the client first system, which is like converting pixel values to rems with one click. So let's say you take a div block, there we go, and I want to have this div block size to be 500 by 500, right? So what you generally do is type 500 divided by 16 rem. So now what you need to do is simply type 500, hit a spacebar, it will convert it for you. Height 500, spacebar, convert it right away. Let's go to spacing. So I will type here 100 and spacebar, converted, again 100, and if I press shift plus spacebar, it will add it to all the sides and convert it at the same time. And if I press 100, control plus spacebar, it will add it to the opposite sides. So again, you have that feature here. It kind of works with all the input fields available, even with the text. Let's say I want to make it 24 pixel, 24 spacebar, converted. Let's add some radius, maybe 20 again, 20 spacebar, converted to rems. So again, one more way to create websites faster with client first and not worry about repetitive things, things that you are repeating again and again. Okay, nice. Another feature coming from Potato extension is copying SVG code. So in client first, you might have seen that what we generally do is we take an embed. Let's say I want to add an icon here. I will take an embed like this. There we go. And what I will do is I will go here, get a SVG, open the SVG. Then I will copy the code like this, paste it here, just like that. And then I will make the width and height 100. Make sure to not put auto here, guys, because when you put a height or width to auto, it is going to struggle in iOS devices. So always make sure to put 100%, 100% width and height, okay? Again, an additional note or a tip. Yep. Fill, I will put current color. So this is what you need to do and hit save. And then you can just name it anything you want, like icon 1 into 1 medium. And here is our icon. Now I can simply change the color of it like that. Okay, so it's not changing because there is a fill present right here as well. I think I need to do that. There we go. And now you can see the color is changing when I change it. But again, you could see that it took me almost like maybe 20 seconds to do this, or maybe 10 seconds if you are fast. But using Potato extension, you can directly copy the code without leaving the designer. So just let's remove the embed code from here. So when you open the asset panel and you click on settings, you will see a few different options here. One of them is copy SVG code. When you copy it, it already copies the code, made modifications that is needed, like 100%, 100% current color. You just have to go inside the embed and paste the code. That's it. As simple as that. So again, the whole purpose of these features is to make your workflow faster with client first. Now let's change the color of it and you can all see it's working. If you don't want to copy the code, it can be even faster. What you can do is you can copy the whole embed with the code. So instead of that, click copy as HTML embed. It will copy the whole code with HTML embed and just hit Control plus V, Command V, paste in your designer, and it will paste the embed with the code itself. The name will be Potato embed that you will have to rename or kind of remove. That's the only thing. Like that. There we go. By the way, there is one more cool thing that you could do is actually what you can do. If you have Relume extension installed, and there is a feature here called SVG icon converter, which is enabled by default. So what you could do is you could go to your asset panel, copy the SVG code, and instead of pasting it inside an embed, just paste it directly on your project, and a pop-up will open from Relume. It happens to be working together, like we did not decide it together, but how Relume extension works, like Potato is kind of making it like they are shaking hands here to make this thing possible. So you need to have both the extension in order to do this. Now you can select a size, medium, click confirm, and it will edit for you. That's it. So yeah, again, very fast and efficient way to add icons. One thing I would say, guys, is to always make sure to add your icons in the asset panel. I have also done this many times where I'm directly copying the code from Figma or any other sources in the website, and I'm not importing those icons in the kind of Webflow. But it's generally a good idea to keep all the assets in Webflow, because whenever you need them, you don't really have to find it in Figma or other resources. You will always have them inside your Webflow's asset panel. So yeah, make sure to always put your icons and any assets that you're using inside the asset panel, copy it from there. As simple as that. One tip is whenever you complete your project, whenever you complete your Webflow project for a client or yourself, always make sure to go to style guide and add all the like colors, any additional utility classes, and make sure that your style guide is ready based on your website. Because generally, I have seen a lot of people doing this. They have a beautiful website, they created it using Client-First, but their style guide is not updated and not reflecting all the elements that is present on their website. So it's generally a good idea to keep your all the elements updated in style guide as well, because again, when you will be scaling, it is going to help you. Let's say, for example, you have some new form elements, you have form input classes, new combo classes elements, you have more color palettes. Simply come to your style guide, update it, keep it always updated. So that is tip for Client-First. Okay, another tip that I think I will share is about CLS, which is cumulative layout shift. So that happens generally when your browser is kind of trying to calculate the place where the image is going to load and the amount of space it is going to take. So if we are not telling that amount of space or dimension to the browser, what it does, it creates jumps in a page, which is called CLS, right? Layout shifts. So to avoid that, what we generally do is we go here, we kind of add width and height. So for example, this one is 500 by 250. So once we do that, this is like inline width and height added directly to the image element. So now browser will know this is the like amount of space that is going to be taken by the image, and it is going to avoid the CLS. There is now one more thing you could do, because now Webflow have the aspect ratio. Instead of using this, if you don't want to use that, you can use aspect ratios, because that is also going to do the same thing. So let's say, for example, you have these cards, right? I think these are using background images, which is fine. Let's try to find another example. Let's say I have an image there, right? Let's take image, and I will call this blog card image, like this. I will make this 100% width, just like that. And now I connect this to CMS. I'm not sure if there is images there, but let's hope. Okay, there are images. Cool. Now what you could do is, instead of giving it a width and height here, it's fine. You can also instead go to ratio and add the ratio, whatever ratio you like. So for example, I want to make it 1:1 for all my blocks, or maybe let's make it landscape. Okay. And I can then click on fit and cover it. Let's make it maybe square. Now, when you set a ratio, it is also going to help you with CLS. Again, having width and height is a good practice, because in this case, you can add CLS, right? But in this case, you can add aspect ratio, but in some cases, you cannot really. For example, this one, you might want to have this completely flexible, right? You don't want to have a fixed ratio. You might want to have a longer image, like that. So in that case, don't use aspect ratio. Use width and height, inline width and height, to kind of avoid CLS. So for example, this one, again, a small feature from Potato extension, you can, instead of typing it manually, you can click on add original dimensions. It will add it for you, just like that. And now you can actually go here and make this image on cover like this. So now the browser will know that, okay, this much space is needed for the image. So it will reserve it and avoid the CLS issue. So that was it for this video. guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please leave all the comments. If you have any questions, leave that in the comments. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed this type of content. And if you want to see more of it, feel free to drop your suggestions. And also make sure to subscribe the channel so that you are updated whenever new videos comes out in the Finsweet channel. Okay guys, this is Harshit Agrawal signing off. Bye-bye.